Welcome and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch, your own personal sales maven, here to offer you tips and strategies and techniques to master your sales conversations. So, question: have you ever noticed how exciting it is when a new idea comes to you and you're ready to launch it? It's something new, it's fun, it's fresh. And then before long, you start thinking, well, what else can I do? What's the next big thing? That like restless feeling that you sometimes get can often get you off track as an entrepreneur, and you're off to the next thing. And maybe you haven't even finished the last thing, or you just launched the last thing and you're already thinking about the next thing. This often is an indicator of what's known as one of your motivational traits. It's your style on how things show up and how you show up, and whether or not it engages your brain or makes you want to do something else. So, being able to understand your own motivational trait often can be the difference between having that shiny object syndrome and getting yourself and your business off track, and learning how to use that motivational trait to your advantage as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a professional in sales. Because if you're always with the shiny object syndrome, what can happen is it really starts to drain your ability to bring money in the door in your business. So that's what we're going to talk about today. This idea of why, as entrepreneurs, do we sometimes get bored, and how can we reignite our sales when we find ourselves in these moments? Okay, so let's talk about motivational traits first and foremost. So, this comes from my background in neurolinguistic programming, where you start to understand that there's quite a few behavioral, there are quite a few motivational traits. The one that I'm going to really focus on today, or the two, I guess I should say, that I'm going to focus on today that shows up in this shiny object syndrome for many of us, is there's the motivational trait that's known as new and different. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's what's known as same or sameness. Okay. Now, it's context specific. So, in some contexts of your life, business, personality, you might find that you fall on the spectrum more towards new and different. And in other contexts, you might fall more on the sameness side of the spectrum. So it's a spectrum, and extremes are on either side, and then there's always like room in the middle. So wherever you are, you're perfect. It's just knowing this about yourself can be incredibly helpful. So how this shows up, for instance, new and different, is like when you think about your focus for new and different, oftentimes you're looking at things like, what's the innovation? What's the contrast? Like, what's new? That is like focus preference for somebody with new and different. Whereas somebody who has a sameness preference is looking for stability. They're looking for continuality. What's familiar? And again, there's no wrong here. It's just, this is the motivational traits and like how it shows up. So for instance, somebody who has a really strong new and different motivational trait is looking for big shifts. They love novelty. They love frequent change. Um, sameness, obviously they're going to want gradual change. They're looking for small improvements. Um, Comfort level. Like, this is another thing for somebody who's new and different. They have a low tolerance for stagnation or sameness. They really seek stimulation through variety. So which of these are starting to sound like you? Whereas comfort level for someone with sameness, low tolerance for abrupt change or instability, prefers predictability. Again, like, these are both, like, when you really break it down, like the traits themselves, like, there's a lot of perfection in all of it and can be useful. And like anything, there's the yin and the yang. So it can kind of work against us as well. So decision, I'm going to just address this one. There's more, but this is what I'm going to do in the podcast. So decision type trait somebody who is on the new and different, like really strong on that side of the spectrum, trust what stands out or what's different from like what else is going on in the market, right? Whereas the decision for somebody who has the same sameness, trust what's consistent over time. So when you think about what you've heard now, which one of those is like calling to you? And if you found that you are more attracted, and by the way, if you're like, well, I like this one and I like new and different here, but this other thing you said, I like sameness. That just shows that you're kind of in the middle of the spectrum or you're falling somewhere, you know, on the spectrum really is what that means. So if you found that, oh, new and different, like I like big shifts, I have a low tolerance for stagnation, I like contrast, I like things that are new, I like change, I trust in what stands out or is different from the rest. Like those are strong, new and different traits that are showing up and indicators that new and different is something that can kind of show up for you. And in order for you to stay motivated, you have to feed that motivational trait. Now, a lot of times, how entrepreneurs tend to feed the new and different entrepreneurial trait is they are always launching something new. They've got a new offer. We're going down this road and now they're going down this road. I was just having a conversation with a client recently and she was talking about somebody that we have a mutual connection. And she was like, now she has 3 businesses, right? And they're like 2 of them are complementary and one is like way out there and really hard. That again can be an indicator that new and different for that particular person is really attractive. And trying to run 3 businesses can be overwhelming. And often, like if it's just you running them, the chance of any of them being successful, like much lower, right? Because you're doing too much juggling, you're stretching yourself too thin, all these things. So if there's a part of you that is really drawn to the new and the different, that loves change, that gets bored easily, that the idea of structure and stagnation is like, oh, like take me out back and shoot me now. Okay, so realize that about yourself and then start to go, okay, so how can I use this to my advantage in my business? And this is something that when I learned about motivational traits, that was one that really stood out for me when it came to business, like in my job, in my work. I wasn't doing Sales Maven yet. I was still back in my corporate sales days when I learned about this. And I just would get so bored. And, I would look at these people who had been in the same job for, 10, 20 years. And I would think to myself, like, oh my gosh, like, this is insane. I just don't think that will ever be me. I couldn't see myself retiring from a company. Of course, I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. But, when I was growing up, it was people would stay at the same company for 20, 25 years and retire. And the idea of doing that for me just felt like, oh, I just can't even imagine. And so when I learned about myself having this really strong new and different when it came to my work, well, the other thing that I also learned in business is that when things are bringing money in the door, when something is working, you don't want to just like throw it out. The saying like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And so when I learned like, oh, maybe I was doing that in certain times where I'd be like, okay, what else is there? What's the next promotion I can get? Or what's the next, client that I can go and book? Or it'd be like, okay, but if I'm not paying attention to my existing clients because I'm so interested in earning this new client and this new challenge, am I leaving money on the table? And this is what I find with entrepreneurs a lot of times that have, like me, this really strong desire for new and different, need to change things up. And I remember years ago, my NLP teacher, who also had a strong new and different when it came to work, I remember she was telling me about this trainer that was kind of like a colleague in the in the field that she was in doing some training. And she said he took one little piece of what he learned in NLP, his NLP training, and taught the same course over and over and over again. And he taught it live. Um, in like a workshop format. And it would just be this 1 day workshop. And it was the same workshop. And he had been teaching this same workshop for like, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. And her and I were like commenting on the fact that, oh my gosh, we would like both be just totally bored to death. How could you even get up and teach that workshop again after all that time? Well, and then she said the thing to me that like was the light bulb moment. She was like, yeah, he's made millions. And I was like, what? You can make millions of dollars teaching one workshop? Like, what? That seems insane to me. And she said, yeah, that is the advantage of people that know how to work this either sameness, like they can really lean into that and just teach the same workshop over and over and over again. Or if you're somebody like me, this is my thoughts now, this isn't her talking to me, but like me who has this really strong new and different, what can I do to keep myself engaged in the things that are making money in my business and not get bored and not get distracted with this shiny object like syndrome, this like, oh, squirrel, I could do this, I could do that. Because there are lots of things that many of us can do, right? Like I could just be doing NLP sessions all day long. I could be doing, sales trainings for corporate, companies. I could be a sales trainer at a large company. There's lots of things I can do. There's lots of things you can do. And what are the things that make you money? So how this even episode came up and why I'm even sharing it with you today is, well, I talk about these concepts a lot in different contexts, right? And I recently I started exploring, which this is going to come back around, by the way. I started exploring reoffering group VIP mastermind days. Now, this is something I did many, many years ago and abandoned it for a reason. I'm going to come back to the story, but so I did two of them in the last 2 weeks. And on the last one, we were talking about motivational traits. There were a few people in the group that were talking about the new, the fun, the like, like they were super excited about this new thing. And so it reminded me of like, okay, I need to address motivational traits here for them, this idea of new and different and same. And what are you going to spend your time, your energy, and your money on focus wise in order to build your business, right? Because when people come to VIP group experience days, mastermind days with me, we're talking about how are we going to bring more revenue into the business in some context, right? Like it might not be that specifically obvious, but that's what I do, right? So that's what we're doing. And a couple of the members in the group, when I started sharing about this new and different, one of the things I also go back to is look at what is generating income in your business. For instance, you look at your offers. Which offers are generating what amount percentage wise of the revenue that's coming in to your business? Oftentimes, when you really like break that down, it goes to the 80-20 rule. Okay. So that means that 80% of your business, give or take a few percentage points, is probably coming from 20% of your offers. So I know in my business, usually about 70 to 80% of my business comes from three main offers. And really now it's kind of like two. The two really make up a huge percentage of the business. So when I think about if I'm wanting to grow the business and or if one of those offers falls off, it makes a dramatic difference in my bottom line. So it can make a dramatic difference on the, in the black, and it can also make a dramatic difference in the red. So paying attention to that is so important. So when I think about what I'm going to spend time and energy and money doing when I want to grow the business, should I be spending time on something that brings in, 3 to 5% of my overall revenue? Because if I grew that by 100% or 20, or, 120% or 200%, which would be awesome, right? Like it's not even going to move the needle. It's not even going to get close to the offers that are bringing in 30, 40% of the revenue. And if I grew those by 100%, like, wow, that would really move the needle. And, or if those were reduced by 25%, wow, that would really hurt my bottom line. Now, because of this like new and different strategy and this shiny object syndrome, what can sometimes happen is we get bored with our offers, me included. And so we look for like, well, what else can I do? What's new? And this was something like people are often, I don't talk about this a lot, and there's a reason. Like I've written 3 books. Most people don't even know that I've written one. Some people know I've written one. Maybe people know I've written 2. Very few people know that I've written 3 books. Why don't I talk about them? Because books don't move the needle in my business. And even if I grew my book sales by 200, 300%, it still wouldn't even come close, right? Like books just don't move the needle. So I don't spend time marketing it. I don't spend time talking about it or, talking about them. It's just not a focus. And I get people reaching out all the time being like, why aren't you talking about your books more? And it's because they don't move the needle. Also, my new and different, like I wrote those years ago, like they're not that fun for me anymore. Like maybe when they first came out, but even then, knowing what books make like the kind of little tiny dent they make in the overall revenue of my business, I spent some time, initially launching the books, but then once they were launched, like they're out into the world, people can read them. I'm grateful when they do. I love a review on them, and they don't move the needle. So that isn't where I'm going to spend time and energy. And even if somebody's like, well, what if we revamped the book? That might be fun and trigger my new and different, but it's not going to make a difference to the bottom line. So this is where this new and different, like we will abandon things versus like what does make a difference to the bottom line? Private coaching for me. That's a huge, percentage of my overall revenue in my business is made up by private coaching. So am I bored with private coaching? No, I love private coaching. That's actually one of my most favorite things to do. And I get bored with the offer around it, right? Like it's a strategy session. It's a strategy session. It's the same over and over. So what can I do? And this is where I would challenge you to be thinking about what can you do in your business to reignite your sales, reignite this new and different like approach, this motivational trait, if this is you, that keeps it interesting, but also doesn't walk away when there's still money on the table because you're off to the new shiny object thing. Don't walk away when there's still money to be made. Now, if there's no money to be made, okay, fine. But if there's still money to be made, what can you do to change up the offer a little bit and make it fun? Like what's a little twist? So I mentioned about this like group VIP day. So I used to do these and quite a bit. I did them quite a bit back in, I don't know. I think I started doing them somewhere around like 2017, 2018, and did them for a few years. Loved them, and they were in person. They were really fun. And then some things kind of shifted. And really in 2020, right? Because of COVID, that's not even it wasn't an option to do in-person VIP days anymore. And so like, and I had been doing them for 2 years. So this new and different thing, like got, okay, Nikki, what else can you do? And then when I started asking people, like, what do you really want and what would be beneficial? Many of my existing clients who've coached with me for years privately were like, well, we want coaching with you, but we want it in a group experience. Great. Oh, I have this. I can bring this back and I can now offer it in a way that is fun for me because it triggers the new and different, but that actually is beneficial to the clients. So this is one of the reasons I brought like this particular offer back, changed it up a little bit, tweaked it so that it would be re-engaging for me, but also would be really beneficial for the client. So maybe I shouldn't have abandoned it, frankly, in 2020. I probably should have continued to offer it. COVID threw everything out and then life happened for me. So, but I'm saying this and I'm sharing this because I'm wondering what is this trigger for you? Is there a way to reignite an existing sale or existing sales, reigniting sales for you with an existing offer that maybe you've gotten bored with, but that still there's money to be made there. Can you change it up a little bit? So for instance, here's just another example where, for many years I taught the master classes live and in person. And then again, COVID came. And so then I started teaching the master classes live, but virtual. And that was really fun for a few years. And then I got bored teaching them. So I thought, okay, so I don't want to just like throw out that content because the content is really strong. I feel really confident about the quality of what people walk away from those master classes. So then I pre-recorded them and I sold those. And then I sold pre-recorded versions of the courses and then with live Q&A sessions with me. And that was really fun for a few years, right? And then now I'm to this place where I kind of want to teach them live again and change them up a little bit, like add some new content, change some content around, leave the core of the offer there, but do it in a way that will trigger this new and different piece of me that like, where's the contrast? What's the new piece for me? But from the deliverability and the effect and the impact for the client, keep the core stuff, the stuff that really moves the needle and makes a difference. So again, that's just a like super random idea for my own business, but what could we do in your business? And I say we, because if you feel like you need some help with this, if you're like, I don't even know how I could change this up, like, let's talk. Cause I do this for clients all the time. Like, what if you turned this course that you've been offering, what if you turned that into a VIP day? And it was an intensive that you did one-on-one with somebody. Would that be trigger your new and different, like motivational trait, make it fun for you? And again, still make a huge impact from a deliverability standpoint for the client that went through it. Again, I'm just kind of throwing some ideas out there for you in the idea of like, or in the spirit of wanting to reignite sales for you. Reignite some passion for you for some things that you might be getting bored with and thinking like, well, I think I'll just go, you know, whatever, do something new. I'll stop writing my newsletter and I'll do a vlog instead, but I have no following on YouTube, or like, just be careful about this shiny object syndrome and letting it distract you. But once you realize what your motivational traits are, and if this new and different is really calling to you, by recognizing that in yourself, when you start to feel restless or bored with one of your offers, just take a step back and ask yourself, can I change this up in some way that doesn't rob from the experience for the client, right? And well, actually, let's like enhance it for the client, enhance the experience for the client, that will feed this new and different kind of desire in me and doesn't walk away from money that is like things that are profitable in my business. Like, look for those things. Be careful about just abandoning them and going down this new path. I've worked with clients where they're like, I'm going this way, Nikki. And then the next time we meet, like 2 weeks later, it's like, I'm going in this direction. It's like, okay. But then we meet again. And now, Nikki, I want to talk to you about something totally different. It's like, wait, hold on here. Because this like always changing course things, usually there's a cost. There's not usually. There is a cost to doing that. And I'm not saying like don't give yourself flexibility to throw out an idea that no longer serves. That's different. But if there's money to be made and there's already money that's been generated with something, be careful about just letting it go. If you're doing it because it doesn't serve, fine. If you're doing it because it doesn't make sense in your business anymore, fine. But if you're just doing it because you're a little bored and you want to look for some contrast, maybe time to just change up the offer and see what else is possible. Okay. So it's really this idea of you don't always need to chase the new ideas to stay motivated. You can find ways to stay motivated in your business that sparks some creativity that still allows the cash flow to flow into the business. All right. As always, thanks for listening. I hope you found this kind of rambling ideas around. I hope it wasn't just rambling, but this idea of new and different, inspiring, and also maybe you already have an idea of what you're going to do to change up your offer. Go do that. Change it up a little bit and see what happens. And if you're like, I need to change up my offers because I am bored and I'm not sure how, if you need a partner to assist you with that, this is a perfect opportunity for us to do a strategy session and talk about that in your business and generate some ideas. There is nothing better than working with a client who leaves one of our sessions feeling like they are just, it's like the sparks are flying. They're so excited to go and implement and put into practice something that they're excited about and that I know is going to generate revenue in their business. Like that's the ultimate best result for me. So, and hopefully for the client as well. All right. So if you need some help with that, reach out. Thanks for listening. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.